Hi class, we need to take a look at example 4. Now example 4 has order operations along with properties. The one property that shows up in several problems is going to be the distributive property. And here's the basic idea for this one. If you happen to have a constant or a variable on the outside of parentheses, the variable multiplies every value inside, whether it is on the left or on the right. And also, as we're approaching any problem, we could do parentheses first, then exponents, and then the following two are extremely important as we're simplifying. We do multiplication or division from left to right. Same idea for addition or subtraction. These need to be done from left to right as we're simplifying the problem. You could do the steps in a slightly different order, but the last portion should be addition or subtraction, and then also multiplication or division needs to be done first. So for example, on problem 1, we could work on the actual fractions, or we could just apply the distributive property, and I mean the fractions inside of the parentheses. So what I'm going to do here is, let me just distribute the 2's and the 4's. That's because I see a couple of integers showing up after the multiplication. But we could have done LCDs on these and combine them. So let me distribute out these. And we're now looking at the following resulting expression. So this is going to be 2 times the values of 3/6 plus 2 times a half plus 4 times 1/3 minus 4 times 1. And notice that you're technically multiplying fractions, and out of the first two, integers pop up because you technically have 2 times 3 is equal to 6/6 plus 2/2 plus 4/3 minus 4. So multiplying the first two thus result in integers. And then technically this is another integer. So we're looking at the resulting values of 1 plus 1 plus 4/3 minus 4. And then what I'm going to do here is, let me just combine the integers. So combining the integers, and let me just rewrite them. This is going to be 1 plus 1 minus 4 plus 4/3. And combining the integers, that's going to give us 2 minus 4, or -2, plus the values of 4/3. And then we can simply get here an LCD, which happens to be 3. So multiply times 3 and times 3, which is going to give us a total of -6/3 plus 4/3, or -2/3. So this particular problem, I decided to just do the distributive property first, but you could have also combined the fractions instead of distributing out those values. That might have saved us a couple of steps. Not sure, it might have been about the same length. Let's take a look at example 2. In example 2, we'll follow the order of operations, which technically say work inside of the parentheses first. So what I'm going to do here is obtain an LCD. So your LCD, it's and I'm looking at just these two. So 5 and 3, it's going to be 15. And then let me rewrite it. And I'm not doing nothing to the 4 yet. So this is equivalent to 3/4 minus. This will be 1/5 plus 1/3. And then we need to place that LCD. So this will be times 3. And then times 5. So we're looking at 3/4 minus, this will be 3/15 plus 5/15, which is going to give us 8/15. So this is equivalent to 3/4 minus, and inside of the parentheses, we're looking at 8/15. At this point, well, this is equivalent as having a -1, which is going to multiply those two. And let me just rewrite it here. And I'm just dropping the parentheses. This is equivalent to 3/4 minus 8/15. And then at this point, the LCD, it's going to be 60. So we're looking at the LCD of 60. So that means that the first one, we're going to be multiplying times 15. And then the second value, we're going to multiply times 4. So we're going to be left with, this is equivalent to, I'll leave it as 3 times 15 over 60 minus 8 times 4 over 60, or 45 minus 32 over the values of 60, which happens to be 5 minus 2 is equal to 3. So I'm looking at 13 over 60. That's actually it for this one. Let's move on to example 3. And in example 3, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get an LCD for all the fractions, which typically makes a larger value. So LCD, and at this point we're looking at 8, we're looking at 4, and we're looking at 5. So we're pretty much looking at, well, the prime factorization, it's going to be a 2 to the third times 5, or 40. So let me rewrite the actual fractions. This will be 5/8 plus 3/4 minus 4/5. And we need to put a 40 at the bottom of those. So the first one, we're going to multiply times 5 times 5. And the second one times 10 times 10. And then times 8. So we're looking at 5 times 5 over 40 plus 3 times 10 over 40 minus 4 times 8 over 40, which is also the same as 25 plus 30 minus 32 over 40. And just on this one, since it'll be easier, let me add these two first, since they're next to each other. So this is equivalent to 25. And I know that order operation says you add from left to right, but since there's no multiplication, you could arrange them in a different order. So 30 minus 32, it's going to be -2 over the values of 40, or 23 over 40. And that's actually it for this problem. These problems that involve order operations, they are a little bit longer, and I'll just put problem 4 on a different video.